So today we got a bombshell of an article from probably all of our favorite sources, Champ Charania of The Athletic. And in this article, he kind of goes in a little bit deeper on where each potential trade candidate currently stands, and the odds of them getting traded, and what his value is. And probably the most intriguing individual on this list is Ben Simmons, because the stuff that's being reported in this article is very consistent with stuff that I have said in my content in the past. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. Real quick before we get to the content, I want to remind you guys we're giving away a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. Whether you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber, if you subscribe and hit that notification bell, you'd enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. If you could also take a moment to leave a like on this video, I'd really appreciate that. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Ever since what's happened to Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA playoffs, where they finished way before where most people thought they would finish, Ben Simmons' name has been coming up in trade rumors a ton. And I originally projected that Ben Simmons would probably not even make it onto the Philadelphia 76ers roster this past year. My primary argument for that being that Daryl Morey doesn't like players like Ben Simmons. Historically, he's always opted for players that could space the floor. He gushes over offensive versatility and an ability to at least score from anywhere on the court, which is why he loved James Harden so much. And he's very analytics driven. And unfortunately, if you're very analytics driven, you don't like players like Ben Simmons who struggle with shooting from three, shooting from mid-range, and pretty much doing everything that you'd expect from your franchise cornerstone that you'd hope would at least have the ability to score the basketball. But I was wrong when Daryl Morey struck out on trying to bring in James Harden to the Philadelphia 76ers, which I personally would have thought would have been really interesting. Ben Simmons remained on the team for a whole year, and I'm assuming their goal at that point was to build up his value. Unfortunately, even though most of us think that Ben Simmons took strides defensively this year, he actually took a little bit of a step back from the 2019 to 2020 season. If you look at his defensive box plus minus, in the 2019 to 2020 season, he was at a 2.3. This past season, he was at a 1.9, and each and every year in the NBA, it seems like he was regressing offensively as years went on. This past year, his OBPM hit a 0.8, which was a career low, and his VORP, value over replacement player, which is an estimate of the points per 100 team possessions that a player contributed above a replacement level player, which is negative 2.0, translated to an average team and prorated to an 82 game season, is a 2.2. To give you an idea, his rookie season, it was at a 4.5. So each and every year, we've talked about this plenty of times, Ben Simmons' problem isn't that he's not a good player. His problem is that he's stagnating currently. If you even look at his basic statistics, like 15 points per game in year 1 to 16.9 points per game to 16 points per game to 14.3 points per game this past year, his field goal percentage looks the same. Hell, even his assists and his rebounding looks the same for the past 4 years. The thing that's very intriguing about Ben Simmons is the fact that he has tremendous upside, but the problem is the Philadelphia 76ers have yet to harness that upside. So as a result of the Philadelphia 76ers losing to the Atlanta Hawks, the very first rumor we got, probably the weekend after, came from Adrian Wojnarowski, who said that according to his sources, discussions on Ben Simmons' future with the Sixers started in Chicago during that time. It included Rich Paul in the franchise's front office. No trade request was made, but talks will continue. Paul met with the president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, and general manager Elton Brand at the pre-draft combine to begin evaluating the next steps in Simmons' Sixers career. Now, bear in mind that at the time that we were making that video, Rich Paul engaged the Sixers on whether it makes sense to work together to find a trade before the start of next season, but no request was made, and the sides were expected to continue talking ahead of the July 29th NBA draft and August free agency. Later on, a few weeks later, on on July 2nd, 2021, we got this tweet from Jason Dumas, who said that the Philadelphia 76ers have already fielded offers for Ben Simmons, but continue to hold a stance that they will only trade him for an all-star caliber player. And then he mentions the fact that the Philadelphia 76ers turned down a deal with the Indiana Pacers that included Malcolm Brogdon and a first-round pick. So this established Ben Simmons' value at the time, although I don't mean any offense to Jason Dumas, but I just simply haven't reported a lot of content or used him as a source as much as I've used someone like Shams or someone like Woj as a source. So although we did believe that rumor at the time, it wasn't something that was concrete. I kind of like 75% or 80% believed in it. But get this, today on The Athletic, there's this article that was dropped called Sixers Opening Up Ben Simmons Trade Talks. Knicks are interested in Colin Sexton, plus more NBA news, which I'm going to go deep into this. I'm going to try to get you guys another video on this. Make sure you leave a like on this video because we're going in today, guys. But Shams gives us a little bit of an inside view as to what's going on with the Philadelphia 76ers, starting with this. After a disappointing defeat in the second round of the playoffs to Atlanta, the 76ers and president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, has been surveying the landscape for ways to improve their roster. Philadelphia lost to the Hawks in 7 games in the Eastern Conference semifinals, culminating in coach Doc Rivers and MVP runner-up Joel Embiid singling out Ben Simmons' play. So if you guys don't remember, Doc Rivers was interviewed at the conclusion of the game, and he was famously asked whether or not he thinks Ben Simmons could be the starting point guard on a championship team, and Doc Rivers responded to that saying, "I don't know."
Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
There were videos of Joel Embiid looking visibly upset at the fact that Ben Simmons gave up a wide open dunk because Ben Simmons was so terrified of being fouled because he had been experiencing foul shooting troubles during the playoffs. The article continues by saying that the mandate was for Simmons and Embiid to coexist on the court this past season under their new head coach and regime and to make a deep playoff run. Neither was accomplished, and by all accounts, Embiid and Simmons have never been closer off the court. But from Simmons' inclusion in trade packages for James Harden with the Houston Rockets during the season to critical comments made about him from key 76ers people after Game 7, the writing is on the wall for Simmons and his future with the franchise. So this is crazy because now it seems like the Sixers have pivoted from, hey, we just need to get Ben Simmons' confidence back and help him work on his shooting, to, no, we're definitely trading for him at this point. So the Sixers have opened up trade conversations surrounding Simmons and have engaged with teams. Those sources also say that teams have been engaged with the 76ers about Simmons have been met with a high price threshold for the 3-time All-Star. The Sixers want an All-Star caliber player in return. Now, the article continues by saying that interest across the league in Simmons remains robust because he's just turning 25 years old this month, was an All-NBA team member in 2019 to 2020, a 2-time All-Defensive First Team member, and a Rookie of the Year award winner. He's under contract until 2025, which is very unique because he can't really leave your team once he is traded. So if you're a team that really needs a franchise cornerstone or just a player to build around, Ben Simmons is a fairly attractive option here. Maybe you will be able to get something out of him. So Shams agrees with Jason Dumas and what we were reporting before. There's consistency here, and I always tell you guys, whenever you're following these rumors, if you see consistent reports that are being reported within weeks of each other, chances are that the rumors are true. And in this scenario, I 100% believe in the rumors that we are hearing, especially now that Shams reported it. Honestly, I know Ben Simmons' value is at an all-time low, but if you have ever engaged in the stock market or just basic economics, even as like a little kid, you understand that whenever something is at an all-time low in value and it would be cheap to pick it up, chances are you should take an opportunity and try to buy low on a person whose value is down. Then in my opinion, Ben Simmons has already made the All-Star game, has shown that he does have tremendous potential. There are questions about his motor, but more so, I just don't think he's a good piece alongside Joel Embiid. I think the fact that you're pairing him up with another superstar center greatly diminishes his versatility. Ben Simmons could run the center position. He could be a power forward. He could defend all 5 positions on the floor, and he does have the skill set of a point guard. That is definitely diminished a little bit if he is sharing the court with Joel Embiid. Some of his versatility is mitigated a bit, and although Ben Simmons has performed horribly in the playoffs, an all-star player in return for the Philadelphia 76ers 76ers is a very fair asking price, because I do believe that the Sixers are a all-star away from making it to the NBA Finals, an all-star that could coexist with Joel Embiid and fits into their roster. And I do think Ben Simmons could be a good piece to build around for a young rebuilding team. The two teams that I think can potentially trade for Ben Simmons is, I always said that I'm going to throw the Golden State Warriors in every single potential trade conversation with every player, because they could just offer the best package. They have the number 7 pick, the number 14 pick, they have James Wiseman, they have Andrew Wiggins that can be a salary cap filler, they have Kelly Oubre. There's so many players that they could trade in return for a player like Ben Simmons. But my question is, what would Ben Simmons' fit be with the Golden State Warriors at that point? He'd be able to play the Draymond Green role, but I don't know. I don't think it makes that much sense. Then another team that I think is probably the most likely to trade for him is the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been absolutely lusting after Ben Simmons over the past year, and there was a report a few weeks ago saying that they are still interested. They'd be willing to give up D'Angelo Russell apparently, or maybe a trade package around Anthony Edwards would be my guess, but that's my take on the situation. Let me know what you guys think about this entire story in the comment section down below. Do you think the Philadelphia 76ers will end up trading Ben Simmons, or do you think this is all smoke and mirrors? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.